So I almost kind of wish that I would have worded this learning target a little bit better, because I can write them in multiple forms. You've already done that. You wrote them in point slope. You wrote them in standard. You wrote them in slope-intercept. What I wanted to try to get across to you is that now you're going to be given one and write them in the other two. So somehow, if I could say go back and forth between forms, that's what I would have said. So let's just kind of do a nice little summary for everyone to start. And that gets us remembering that right now you have learned about 3 different forms. You've known the first form for over a year now. It's the form that you're the most comfortable with. You know what to do with it. And then you learned the last 2 yesterday and the day before, right? So there's still some getting familiar with those last 2, and that's kind of what today is for. So let's just review them. Let's talk about good old slope-intercept form. Okay. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And I don't really want you memorizing, that's kind of why sometimes vocabulary quizzes are do you really know the meaning of the word, or do you just memorize the definition, that kind of thing. I don't really want you memorizing y equals mx plus b without really knowing what the m and the b mean, right? So you do know that in all of these forms, there's going to be a y and an x present, right? And that y and that x are going to stay there. It's the non-y's and the non-x's that get all moved around. And that's what's important, and that's what means things, right? So you know that your m is your slope, super important. And you know that your b is your y-intercept, right? Okay. Slope-intercept is your go-to graphing form, isn't it? If you had to graph an equation of a line, you want it to be in slope-intercept because it's the quickest and the easiest. So we're going to write that this form is your preferred method for graphing. Agreed? Quick and easy. You look at the y-intercept, you plot it, you put the slope, and you're done. So for graphing, I guess you could even say quickly. Because you can graph in the other 2 forms, just not as quickly as you can in this one. That's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so we kind of know enough about slope-intercept. Let's get on to these last 2 that we learned. So then Tuesday I introduced to you point slope, right? And then I know we had standard form yesterday, so I'm hoping that you're able to go back and forth there. So point slope was y minus the y from point 1 equals the slope times x minus the x from point 1. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Sounds crazy. I've been saying it for over a decade, so it rolls off my tongue nicely, but it still might be a little fresh in your head. But again, in point slope, isn't there still a y and an x that remain there? And on a couple special occasions, they disappear or something weird happens, right? But 90% of the time, most of the lines are going to have that form. Okay? And you still have your slope, which has been the same throughout. And then instead of having a y-intercept, they don't give you the y-intercept, they give you a point. And that's where the y and the x come in. So instead of the y-intercept, they're giving you a point. So can you graph from point slope form, do you think? Now, I'm going to be asking you to really dig deep into your knowledge of these forms and think about what you know about them, because you can graph from this form, but it's a little bit more work than graphing from slope-intercept. So how could you graph? Isaiah? Yes. Yeah. He said you need a starting place, right? I know, like, for example, if I have y minus 5 equals 2 times x minus 1, I know the slope is 2. I know I'm going to go up 2 over 1, but where am I going to go up 2 over 1 from? I don't know the y-intercept, right? So up here, I know that I'm going to go up 2 over 1 from 8, or whatever it says there. So this is what I mean. It's a teensy bit more work, because I can't just look. I have to kind of pull that point out, right? So what is the slope to what is the point? If you're good with the formula, it might come just as quick. So your point is going to be 1, 5. Yep. Did you have, or negative? Yeah. Yes, I meant to put that a plus, so put that a plus there. Yeah.
The chopping you did there, would the subtraction sign, would that be part of the equation for point form?
Yeah, this right here, so I probably should have put that in. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I was confused.
Yeah, because usually what I did is I put it in this color before, right? Yeah. Yep. So that's good. I'm glad that people are paying attention to the colors there. So if this is a +1, my point is -1, +5, right? Are you comfortable with that? You guys seemed pretty good with that when I checked your homework. So now, can I graph? Sure. I just had to do a little bit more work. So instead of starting at B, which I have no clue what it is, I'm starting here instead. -1, +5, and then from there I'm doing what? Going up 2 over 1, okay? So it's doable, right? From point slope form, do I have any knowledge of what the x and y intercept are? No. All I know is the slope and a point. I don't know what the x-intercept is. I don't know what the y-intercept is. I mean, it might, when I get that point and that slope done and then connect the points, then can I look at what the y-intercept is? Yeah. Okay, but I don't know anything about that other than the point and the slope. So are you good with that? Okay? Let's say, and this is where I'm going to kind of, before I get to standard form, kind of sneak in a little bit of what we're doing today. What if somebody says, nope, too much work for me. I always get confused on what point to put, and when it's in point slope form, I want it in in slope intercept form. That's the form I like, and you know how sometimes people are like tunnel vision, so they won't even consider graphing it. So what could they do with y minus 5 equals 2 times x plus 1 if they are all about slope intercept form?
You just make it so.
Yes, you just make it slope intercept form. And the fact that he said it, just do it so easily means I know he knows what to do. But I will tell people, put it in slope intercept form, and they'll look at me and they'll say, I don't know what that means. And I can't have you there. I'm moving along, and I need you to come with me. I don't want to have to drag you with me. I need you to be there on your own. So what does JC mean by, just put it in slope intercept form? What would I do to put it in slope intercept form first, Avery? Solve for y. Very good. And solving for y requires 2 steps. First, I would do what? I don't know how you guys did the point slope form, because when you're looking at that, aren't you just itching to, distribute that too? You probably were like, I can't leave it like that. It's driving me nuts. So now you get to do it. So let's distribute that too. So let's make this y minus 5 equals 2x plus 2. Oh man, I am so close. It's almost in slope intercept form. I have one more thing to do, and that's what? Add 5 to both sides, right? And I am home free. So y is equal to 2x plus 7. So all of you who like that slope intercept form, there's your y-intercept. It's 7. From 7, go up 2 over 1. Are you seeing how these are related? So this equation right here and this equation right here are the same line? Yeah. So if I had enough time, or if somebody were to do this on Teachers Pay Teachers maybe, I would hand out 3 cards. One with the equation written this way, one with the equation written this way, and by the way, there's another equation that matches these two that's written in standard form, right? And hand these out, and then I would say, go find your partners. And you might think, what? Would you ever think that there's not even a 7 in this problem? Do you see how we got it though? So this and this would make the same line. So it would be kind of like a matching activity. So you see where we're going? The only other way I can think to explain it would be, because I do this exact activity in 7th graders with fractions, decimals, and percents, right? Aren't there 3 ways to write one number? If I have, 2/5. 2/5 is the same as having 40 cents, 4/10. 4/10 is the same as 2/5, which is 40%, right? Fraction, decimal, percent. I would give each person one of these cards and they would have to find each other. It's the same thing, okay? Except one is slope-intercept, one is standard, and one is point slope. So I'm kind of giving you a sneak peek at what's going down today. So if I give it to you in this form, are you going to be able to give me these two? This form, give me these. This one, give me these. So that's coming up. Let's just get through standard form real quickly. You guys will be surprised that you're able to do it that quickly. So, okay, so let's take a look at what our third form was. Our third form was standard form. Okay, does anybody remember what standard form was or is? Yeah.
Like, it's like 3 x plus...
Yeah, the A and the B aren't that important, but yeah, it's x plus y. And then equals your constant, right? So ax plus by equals c, and that's your constant. And again, there's your x, there's your y. Those are in all three of your forms, right? So if I were to ask you to graph an equation in standard form, like let's say you had 3x plus 7y equals 30, okay? I'll be honest with you. Other than finding the x and y intercepts, standard form is pretty useless, right? I don't know the slope. I don't know, like there's a lot I don't know about it, right? But finding the intercepts can be pretty useful, right? So I'm going to just kind of put you to a little test right now. It's going to see how you react to this. If I were to say to you right now, graph that equation. Go. Give you about 2 minutes. I want to ask you after you're done which method you went instinctively to. So how would you do that? Do it. Just get halfway through it, even if you don't finish it, because I'm just going to ask you. So graph that equation. There's 2 different ways. Okay, even if you're not done. Just curious, how many of you chose the intercepts? Like you found the x and y intercept? Raise your hand and raise it high. Okay, if you don't have your hand up and you didn't solve it graph it with the intercepts, what did you do? Did you sit there for the intercepts? Did anybody solve it for y? Okay, so that's not bad either. So here's the beautiful part about this. Like, you have all these options. So let's just put a little side note here. Standard form is best for finding the x and y intercepts to graph. And I'm going to show you in a minute how you could do both here. So if you said, I'm going to cover up the 7y and create an equation that says 3x equals 30, then I'm going to cover up the 3x and create an equation that says 7y equals 30, and then I'm going to find each of those. You graphed by finding the intercepts. That is the useful way to use standard form. X is equal to 10, which means one of your points is 10, 0. And here, we should be fairly comfortable with this. 4 and 2/7, which means 0, 4 and 2/7. And then, when you go to graph it, you have an x-intercept of 10, a y-intercept of 4 and 2/7, and there's your line, right? Except it actually should touch the point. Okay, I should have got a ruler. It's right here. How lazy was that? Okay, so for those of you who maybe decided, those intercepts is for the birds, I'm going to solve for y because I like my slope-intercept form and I'm staying true to it. Good, that's okay. 3x plus 7y equals 30 minus 3x 7y equals negative 3x plus 30, right? Divide both sides by 7, and look what you get. You get y equals negative 3/7 x plus 4 2/7. Not so pretty, but let's look and see what we did here. If I'm at 4 2/7, that's what the people who solved it using the intercepts got, right? So then they just went down 3 and over 7, and it works, right? So it works both ways. Okay, so here's what I want to give to you now. I want to give this to you because we have to start to talk about how to do that. So we're going to start with Slope-Intercept Form. All right. Now is the real test to see how well you know your way around these three forms, how easily you're able to go back and forth between them, and it's really going to open my eyes to see who really knows these forms, you know? So let's start with slope-intercept. And here's what's so cool about this lesson. Like, I'm going to guide you through it, but you should already know what to do. To get slope-intercept into standard, standard is what? And you know what might not be a bad idea for you to do this? Okay, not a bad idea to have that there to use.